They burned down my barn on a Sunday morning while I was in church blessing the harvest. By Monday, Miranda Langston was on my porch clutching a latte and a manila folder, grinning like she was doing me a favor. That was the moment I knew this wasn't about progress, development, or beautifying the neighborhood. This was about erasure. They didn't just want my land, they wanted to wipe away everything I had built on it. My name, my legacy, the goats, the blood I'd poured into 10 stubborn acres of pasture. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I smiled, offered her a seat, and let her think I was about to cave. That was the last time she ever underestimated me. It all started months before the fire, back when our quiet rural town got a so-called facelift. What used to be gravel roads and stretches of hayfields began to fill with cul-de-sacs and cloned mailboxes, pastel-colored fences, and imported shrubbery. The new homeowners association slithered in with clipboards and fake cheer. They called it community development. I called it a hostile takeover with decorative mulch. My land sat just at the edge of all that. 10 acres of green, a bright red barn older than most of the HOA board members, and a herd of goats that had more sense than the lot of them combined. I'd inherited it from my grandfather, who used to say, "Don't ever sell the soul of your family just because someone's waving a check." I intended to honor that until my last breath. Miranda showed up one morning wearing sunglasses the size of tea saucers and a lemon yellow suit like she was allergic to dirt. Her face pinched at the smell of manure, and she extended a manicured hand like I was supposed to kiss it. Instead, she handed me an envelope. Inside was an offer. Lowball, offensive, and included with it was a polite threat about zoning changes that might make keeping livestock complicated. I told her I wasn't interested and added that my goats had more manners than she did. She didn't laugh. The fines started a week later. The first was for my non-uniform fencing. Then came one for excessive animal noise. After that, a $500 citation for unapproved exterior paint my barn, which had been red since Roosevelt was in office. Miranda once showed up during feeding time, waving her tablet like a cop at a crime scene. I told her if she got any closer, Dottie might chew her handbag. Dottie bleated right on cue. By the time the third offer came, the numbers had increased, but the tone was darker. She hinted that my barn might be a fire hazard. That stopped me cold. I walked her to the property line, shut the gate behind her, and told her in plain terms didn't step back on my land unless invited or unless she wanted a close encounter with my granddad's old pitchfork. Then came the fire. It was just before dawn. I was sitting in the pews with neighbors, bowing my head when my phone buzzed. At first, I thought it was another robocall, until I saw the security alert. Smoke detected. I bolted out mid-sermon. By the time I got there, the barn was a smoldering carcass of embers and sorrow. The fire department had already tried their best, but there was little left. The walls had collapsed inward, my tools and feed lost. The birthing stall I'd built with my bare hands gone. My goats were shaken but safe, clustered on the far side of the field, their eyes wide. Near the ruins, floating in a puddle, was a soggy violation slip from the HOA smithing about unsightly debris on agricultural structures. I laughed. Then I nearly cried. And wouldn't you know it, Miranda showed up that afternoon, wearing black like she was at a funeral. She had the gall to bring store-bought lilies and say, sometimes tragedy brings opportunity. She handed me another offer higher, smugger. Her smile stretched tight across her face like victory. I nodded, told her I'd think about it, and shut the door. That night, I bought every security camera I could afford. Installed them under roof eaves, in birdhouses, on fence posts, and trees. Not just defense, I was planning offense. Miranda had woken the bear. And the bear had internet access, a fire in his gut, and legal backup. I started digging. Rick Dempsey, an old friend and retired land developer, owed me a favor. 2 winters ago, I pulled his antique truck out of a ditch. Now he returned the favor by helping me uncover some truths. Turns out the HOA was on shaky ground. Their community center sat on land that had never officially transferred from a development shell company. That company? 3 months behind on taxes. Meaning if no one paid soon, it would go up for public auction. I posted a printed copy of the auction notice inside my tool shed, right next to a photo of my granddad flipping the bird while holding a goat. Every morning, I fed the goats, shoveled ash, and smiled. Then the cameras started paying off. First, I spotted two HOA board members poking around near midnight. One had a flashlight. The other? A clipboard. At midnight, I let them think I was still broken. Sometimes, fools reveal more when they feel unseen. Then came the real prize. For nights after the fire, my shed camera captured a man, tall, hoodie, jeans entering through the side door. He rummaged through drawers and pulled out a folder labeled Property Docs. Then, clear as day, he picked up a gas can. He looked directly at the lens and mumbled, "This would be easier if he just sold already." Then he lit a cigar. Zooming in, I got the face. It was Cameron Langston, Miranda's husband. The same man who once shook my hand at a barbecue and said he admired how I took care of the land. I made 4 copies of the footage. Sent one to my lawyer. Another to the fire marshal. One for Rick. And the last? A little keepsake in case Miranda wanted to act surprised later. I handed the wallet with lighter fluid receipts incedito Tom McCarthy, now a sheriff's deputy and an old classmate. He looked at the evidence, raised an eyebrow, and said, "Well, this just got interesting." Still, Tom warned me not to expect a quick takedown. Miranda had political connections. I'd need more than just fire footage. I'd need to outmaneuver her entirely. And that's when Rick and I put our plan into motion. We bid on the HOA's meeting lot through a shell company right before the deadline. Silent. Legal. Irreversible. I watched Miranda plan a spring HOA even on land she no longer owned. The irony nearly gave me whiplash. Then I got creative. I moved the goats onto the lot. Slowly. Quietly. First Buster. Then Dottie. Then the others. I added a handmade sign to the pavilion that read, "Goat Sanctuary Public Welcome." The paint? Barn red. When Miranda showed up days later and saw it, her face looked like a casserole left too long in the oven. She shrieked. She paced. She called. I handed her a copy of the auction deed. My name circled in bold. She sputtered. Stormed off. One goat tried to eat her scarf on the way out. I didn't stop him. The neighborhood noticed. Families brought kids to see the goats. Someone asked if I did birthday parties. I nodded and said sure. Then came the lawsuit. Miranda sued me claiming manipulation, fraud, and insider theft. Her husband signed the affidavit. My lawyer almost choked on his sandwich. We filed a countersuit: arson, trespassing, attempted intimidation with receipts, footage, and fingerprint evidence. Reporters caught wind of it. Miranda became a meme. Someone edited a video of her yelling at goats into a musical number. Buster had his own TikTok account. The HOA started falling apart. Board members resigned. Meetings dissolved. The bylaws were ignored. People painted mailboxes rainbow colors and mowed lawns at 2 a.m. Meanwhile, I built the new barn fireproof, solar-powered, with rainwater barrels and a corner for school field trips. A local radio station invited me on air. I told them the goats were the real heroes. My niece sent me a video remix of Miranda slipping in goat poop. Then she tried one last stunt trespassing with a camera after dark. But my new infrared security system lit her up like a deer in headlights. Tom issued a formal trespass notice. Miranda didn't argue. The final chapter came quietly. A moving truck pulled up. She left without waving. The house sat vacant for weeks. I stood on the hill where the old barn once stood and ran my hand along a plaque I'd carved from the burned beams. It read, "What they meant to destroy became a sanctuary." Spring brought new baby goats, weddings, festivals, school tours. The sanctuary became the soul of the neighborhood. The HOA? Dissolved. The land? Free. And every time someone stepped through that gate, I smiled. Because I knew the truth. They tried to bury me. They forgot I was a seed.